Yeah, you get it.
I think zvazoita.
Andega.
Yeah, hanzi chirungu chakauya nengarava.
Yeah,
Chimwe
chirungu ime vechidiki ndima tomberi nacho isu madhara enyu zvakutinetsa kumasta izvi zvatazotanga tachiembera izvi.
hanzi chimwe chacho nobva charasikira mumvura chakasvika chacho chaive nechirungurira saka nhasi hapana anochigona chese.
Manje takachitevera kuno.
takachiteera
Tiri kuda mabhonzo acho chaiwo chaiwo.
takachiteera. Asi pamakachiteera, do you feel kuti coming to the UK was a good idea?
First of all, let me say a big yes. It was a good idea. Though there are other things that you would definitely miss. What is it that I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from a different society,
mm-hmm.
with a different way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly
can we do in English so that our conversation will appeal to all international nurses and any international audience that we may have? So if we could do it in English, I think it would benefit many people, because we are not the first people to come to the UK. But the problem is, when we came to the UK as nurses, we didn't know. We had so many misconceptions, so many ideas that are not translating well. Panama experience at Akuita. So if we had someone who could tell us these things that we're about to tell other people who are looking into making the same move as we have made, I think it would be beneficial. Not just Zimbabweans, but Filipinos, Nigerians, Ghanaians, or whatever, just to tell them what nursing in the UK and moving to the UK really feels like. And in this conversation, I'm going to ask you to be honest and candid and really speak your heart out. Be honest as you can in this conversation. So carry on. Sorry to cut you off there.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I said, yes, coming to the UK was a success to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like as I said, there are so many expectations. When we left, like when we came in here, there were so many expectations that probably you won't be able to succeed on. For example, definitely people back home, they've got a different picture from reality. Like,
yeah,
people back home think when you come to the UK, you definitely got a lot of money. You have paid a lot of money that you are able to sponsor everybody back home. That you are able to fund everybody's project, that you are able to fund everybody who needs money back home, which is different. But however, generally, to survive, or the quality of life that you have when you came here, and compared to how it used to be back home, somehow it's a bit different. You're paid enough that you can afford to buy food, for example. 2, we say the rentals and bills are expensive, but you can afford to pay them. It's hard to save, but it's possible. Let me say, for example, from my previous, let's say somebody who is working back home and is earning something like $200 or $250, and is paying rentals like $100, and you want to send your kids to school, you can't afford to do that.
Yeah, because considering that here education is basically free, your kids go to school for free, it's another expense that you don't have to shoulder.
Exactly, that's the thing. So one, I'll say it's a success because you can afford to send your kids to school. Like we said, it's free, and you can afford to meet all those expenses. Though there are things that people back home expect which you may not be able to satisfy. Like, definitely right now, I know when you came here, everybody who calls you, you know, somewhere, somehow, you will need a bit of some help.
Yeah.
And I understand. I remember me calling, I remember calling you the other day.
Yeah.
Like when I was planning to come here, and you told me innocently and freely, say, you know what, brother, right now, I've got a project. I have something that I'm doing. So I'm trying to raise some money, and I may not be able to fund you like you may expect. But one thing I'll say, I will encourage you to come here. I would definitely motivate you to say, please do come, because it's different. So there are things that you won't be able to satisfy, but there are so many advantages for coming here.
So basically, to paraphrase what you've just been saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, just tell me to stop if I say something that goes against the point that you're trying to make. First of all, you're saying your quality of life is basically improved.
Yeah.
And the quality of life of your family, your children, they are in a much better position. They have better opportunities than what you could hope to have in Zimbabwe.
Very true.
But the problem comes when we try to, you know, reconcile our lives over here with what we left back home. Because when we left home, we left relatives, we left family who expect us to do certain things for them. And when they think about being in the UK, they think like we have so much money that we can help them along and improve their lives. But realistically, we really can't do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, you can really do that.
What do you mean by you can really do that? Because what I've realized is, let's say you are earning £2,000. Can we agree that roughly you get £2,000 a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as a salary,
yeah, as your salary, and you have to pay around £900 for rent.
Yeah.
And you are paying off your iPhone. You are paying maybe some bills, and you also have to eat.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you earn 2,000 and your expenses will run up to 1.4, 1.5.
That's very true.
So what you have left in your wallet is £500. Those are your savings. That's the money that you use when your grandma or your mom or your dad or the brothers you left in Zimbabwe, when they say, well, we need money via Mukuru to send Gogas to the hospital, because realistically, there'll always be a problem that will be there in Zimbabwe that needs you to solve. So every month you have to send money back home. How much could you say, at least as an African, not saying that there is a problem that has happened, but every month, how much can you say you have to send home normally?
I would say there is no distinct amount of money that you can say you have to send.
I'm just asking you to estimate, like, if you were to open your Mukuru, your Western Union, or whatever, you just notice, every month I send it for me, myself.
Yeah.
This month I sent about £700 for my sister's education, what she needs, and some other silly things. I don't do that every month, but it's just that schools are about to open. I had to send that much. But in any given month, I send more than at least £200 home. On your end, how much at least could you send home every month?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like at least 200 sometimes.
Which means I'm just trying to work the math here. Which means your bills cost you rent £900 and £500 for bills, electricity, your food, your iPhone, Netflix, like for some of us, I have to pay every day like £6 for transportation. So 900 plus 400 for my expenses, plus 200 that I sent back home. So 1.6. I'm only left with about £400 back home. Which means normally we don't have that much money left.
Yeah.
So
all right, you can say what you want to say.
Considering that, do you think coming to the UK was a good idea? Because all you take home is £400. Is it worth it?
All right. We are basing everything on salary, right? Like normally at the end of the month, 2,000 is the take home, like
normal salary, your normal contract.
Before I do any other work, any other shift work or bank or whatever. That's the normal.
If I can interrupt you on that one, when we are here, we're just like civil servants. When we were back home in Zimbabwe, you earn your normal salary, you have bills to pay, you have things to do, but here you can do extra. But the problem is when you start doing extra, your body will suffer, your mental health will suffer. Consider the fact that every day, like especially now in winter, you wake up. Personally, I wake up at 6:30. I start work at 7:45. I come back home at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
So keeping in mind that I have to do extra shifts to make things, flow well, I'm putting strain on my body. You feel that? Yeah. And that takes a toll on you.
Very true.
Do you enjoy waking up at 6:30 when it's so dark, going to work, going into a building, finishing work at 8 o'clock, it's dark, you go home just to sleep so that in the morning the alarm can go and you can do that all over again? Keeping that in mind, do you think the move was worth it?
All right. Like we said there are benefits of coming here. And I will say to a greater extent. Why am I saying that? Back home, you could work exactly the same way. We've got brothers who work, let's say, for example, he is a commuter driver. He wakes up 6 o'clock in the morning. And he finishes 10 o'clock in the evening. But he still can't afford to send even a penny to his parents.
Preach. That's very
true. So yes, coming here, let's go back to work ethics. Coming here, you give all of yourself.
Exactly.
They have got functional institutions that you are responsible for everything that you do. And you are accountable for everything that you do. So if you're coming from a relaxed institution, coming to the UK, somehow the first days, definitely it will strain you.
And I think you can attest to the fact that your first week of serious work, your legs would report that you've been working hard. When I was working in Zimbabwe, I would show up at work and just do my job, but it was a bit more relaxed. But my first week or month of working the 12-hour shift in the UK, my legs would be killing me.
I agree with you there. It's like the system itself tend to bring that fear in you, like you tend to try to be as perfect as you can in everything that you do. because you know this system, you need to be accountable. So the first days, the first weeks, the first month, or I can go back to say the first year, definitely it will strain you. Though I would say it's better to be strained by a system that pays you for what you're doing.
Preach.
That rewards you.
Yeah, preach. Preach, my brother. Preach.
That rewards you.
Yeah.
I always say, like, for example, back home, the thing that we always say we need, is it all right to say, to talk a bit of politics? Like,
of course.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm a certified ZANU-PF comrade, but I'm not shy to criticize when they mess up, because if they were doing things correctly, I shouldn't be here. Our land, our prosperity, it's quite embarrassing that I had to come here when we chased the white people away from our country and said we can do this on our own. But look at me, I'm here now working for them. We failed.
Yeah.
So feel free to speak politics. Don't be ashamed to speak the truth.
So what I wanted to say, what we are fighting for, like what the people back home are all saying, they need functional institutions. Right? If you have a functional institution, you are rewarded for whatever that you do. But that's what we don't have back home. That's the reason why we came here. And we are trained, one, for example, there are cultural differences.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
There are cultural differences. There are things, for example, I live in a flat, and opposite to my door, I've got, like, back home, I could say my neighbor.
But here they are strangers, isn't it?
Here they are strangers. I've been here like for more than 6 months now. But I don't know who is living like in the next door.
Yeah.
Is a stranger to me.
Yeah.
If you're coming from, for example, Zimbabwe, where we know, like, for example, even if you're living in Harare, you know the whole street, like, they know there is a nurse there, and if somebody is unwell, they will definitely come knocking. And we have a community, like, we have a society where we're branded together, like, and so coming in here and you don't find that somehow.
So basically you're saying you lose the sense of community.
Yeah, that sense of
let me just stop you there. So far we have said that coming here is to a greater extent a good idea.
Yeah.
You make more money, but you have to work harder.
Yes.
The problem begins when you try to help people back home. You really can't live two lives, your life in the UK and your life back home. You can't do much for your people, even though they expect you to do stuff for them, you can't. So there's a degree, I don't know if I can call it selfishness or just facing reality that my life is now here and I have to, you know, live my life here. People back home, I'm sorry, but you have to sort of fend for yourself.
Let me explain a bit there. Do you remember there are a few days, I think before I came here, there were people who were deported to Zimbabwe and they were being people in media. What's his name? This guy,
Ruben Barwe.
Ruben Barwe. When you're saying, oh, you know, these guys, they came back just with Shangani bags and etc.
But those were the same guys who were sending the money to buy phones, to buy groceries and stuff. But now that they were coming back with Shangani bags, they were laughing at them. What's that about?
Exactly, Jacob. That's why I want to say.
Are the people back home looking at us and expecting us to fail?
That's the thing. So if you are
the people back home looking at us and expecting us to fail? Answer me on that one.
There are people who expect us to fail. And there are people close to us who expect us to succeed. And like I said, people have got a different view of the UK. Like they are out of touch with reality. So whenever you want to live like double life, you are living your life here and you want to fund somebody back home, or you're funding, or everybody back home thinks you've got a lot of money, and whenever they speak to you, they're just thinking about money. So it becomes a challenge.
So do they actually care about us, or they just look at us as cash cows? Do they really care about us?
Somewhere, somehow, there are people who care about us, but the majority, I would say, they think you got a lot of money and they think you got that capacity to be able to fund your whole village, just like footballers do. Have you ever people talking about money?
Yeah.
The guy from Senegal who used to play for Liverpool
he's doing big things. He's improving his community.
He's doing great things. And it's not everybody who came to the UK is affording that, is getting that kind of money. Like, money is a footballer. Money is a footballer. He's getting a lot of money. For example, in our country, we got the likes of Nakamba. He's a footballer. I don't think there is a nurse who is just a nurse right now. Who is not doing anything else like business or so. Mostly who is still under a visa. Who can be able to do what Nakamba can do back home? No, you can't, because you don't afford to do that.
Who is actually to blame for this? Who set these very high and unrealistic expectations for the people back home? Is it the people who came before us who wanted to be seen as rich people, as Mbinga? Is it the people back home who perpetuated this idea that when you come to the UK, you are automatically a rich person? And are we also to blame for perpetuating that stereotype? Who is to blame?
First of all, I would say social media. What is it that I mean? Like I said, when you come to the UK, Jacob, your life generally improves. The quality of life that you live here is different from the quality of life you used to live back home. When you want, Jacob, we are saying it's hard to wake up in the morning every day, but when you want, at the end of a month or at the end of 2 months, you can save to buy a Honda Fit that you would save for 7 years in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, true.
You agree with that?
Yeah, true.
You can do that.
Yeah.
You can save, you can buy a Honda Fit. After 2-3 months, you can do that. A second hand, not a new one.
Easily.
Back home, you could not do that.
No. If you looked at the car that I had when I was in Zimbabwe, that was a rust bucket, and it took 1.5 years of working very hard to get that rust bucket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here you can afford to do that, and you can afford to go to holiday.
Oh, of course.
White people always talk of going to the holiday, and it's a good thing. Mostly when you're working hard, you need that. So you can afford to go to Italy. You can afford to go to France. You can afford to go to Dubai. Afford to do that.
Yeah.
Every other year, you can afford to do that. And being in a country where it's like it's normal to do that. Yes, you are coming from Zimbabwe where there are people suffering. You're coming from your nation, either the Filipino, or you're coming from Nigeria, or you're coming from Zambia, where people are suffering, possibly. you still have to live to the standards, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I say to the standards, I'm not saying go an extra. Yes, we need people. Yes, you need to help people back home. That's right. But it's still, you need to feed the body that works.
Exactly.
You need to have the time to relax. And you need to save for your mortgage, right?
Oh, of course. That's the goal. That's the goal. Once we get our permanent residency, of course, the next logical step is to get our mortgage and get a house, be comfortable.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So, for example, I'm saving for my house. You need to save for your house. And then people back home, everybody wants some money. Everybody's that you talk to wants some £2. Everybody.
Yeah. Grandma has sat on a needle. Grandpa has swallowed a hammer. They always come up with something fancy to get money out of you.
So somebody advised me the other day. He says to me, when you're working back home in Zimbabwe, do you use to fund everybody?
No.
People calling you?
No.
Were people calling you to say,
no,
can you give some £20? Can you give me some?
Hell no. Hell no.
No, right? So if you have something that's a priority to you, let's say you want to save for your mortgage, like as we said, let's say you want to save for your car, that's the one that you need to take you to work and come back, right? Let's say you want to save for that.
Yeah.
And let's say you want to save for your holiday, or for your business. Let's say you want to start a business. You can't be flashing money. You can't be throwing money everywhere. But that doesn't mean you don't have. No. You have, but the money that you have is not for that purpose. Like somebody will say, please, I just need £20. I need to, we have a party, so we need to buy some.
Yeah, they'll say
no.
That. Yeah.
Yes, you have got a party, but if you plan a party, you need to make sure you can't put me in a budget for your party. No. So the thing is, the social media, whenever you take your photos in France, whenever you take photos when you're in Italy, when you take photos when you're in Dubai, they will say, oh, he's flashing cash. He's doing they will preach every sort of gospel, right? And then they are the same people, even after doing that, after flashing, and then you definitely sponsor them. You sponsor some to go to school, you sponsor some to do certain projects, and they certainly do well because they're on the ground when we talk of back home, right?
Yeah. But
when you come back home and you don't have anything to show,
yeah, they will laugh at you.
They will laugh at you. So I think I will say this, like you say, is it selfishness or I don't know? But whenever you have something that you want to save for, yes, there are people that matters. Like, for example, your siblings, like you said, you have a sister who is going to school. Definitely you need to make sure she goes to school. You've got your parents. You definitely have to make sure they're well up, but not forgetting that one day we may be leaving the UK, going back home, and you need to have something. What is it that I mean? As for me, either you invest in here, that's fine, or you invest back home, that's fine. Depends with the test. Because somebody will say, all right, I need to buy a house in Waterfalls, in Warren Park.
Personally, I think that's a very stupid idea. When I was new in the UK, I was lucky enough to meet two guys who have been here since the 2000s, and they were telling me about how they built houses in Zimbabwe and they've never slept in those houses. The rent that they get from those houses is not worth their while. So the only way to go is a mortgage. We are under pressure to build houses back home. I personally did it in my rural areas, but it's just because I didn't know better. If I knew better, I wouldn't have even bothered.
Exactly. That's the truth. I would like you said, I really support your idea on that one. If you have the chance, like, to start investing even here, you better start with a mortgage than buying a house in Warren Park. Yes, good. You can buy a house back home, because it also depends with your plans. Somebody saying, I just want to be here 5 years and then I go back home.
I think we all say that, but realistically, as I was saying, like, I've met guys who have been here since the 2000s, like 2001, really, really old guys. And we all think that one day we'll go back home, but unless you get deported or something, most of us won't get actually to live life in Zimbabwe. When we left, we thought we could work for 5 years and go back. But the reality is most of us will never get to live in Zimbabwe unless, God forbid, we get deported.
Yeah. I agree with you there. That's why I say, I think if you can afford to, you better save for your mortgage first.
Yeah.
Because you're using your rent for something that will benefit you.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's better. But like we said, still somebody have got a plan to say, oh no, I need to be back home. Definitely I need to be back home. Yeah, go invest back home. That's good. But business-wise, and to have a property that will benefit you, even if you left the UK, if you've got a property, I've been, like you said, I've been speaking to so many people. And once you've got a deposit for a house, even if you go back home today, still that property can find itself.
And the rent that you get from a property over here, you will be getting $1,000 a month. You can live comfortably in Zimbabwe. So it's better than constructing or buying a useless property in Zimbabwe. And you can have a property over here that will take care of itself and give you a comfortable life back home. Because if you try to invest back home and involve your relatives and whatever, obviously they'll steal from you. No matter how much you trust them, they'll steal from you, and it will cause a lot of rifts and suffering on your end, because it's hard work that we do, and we don't need to be exposing ourselves to those things.
Thing is, trust is something that when lost, it's hard to recover. It's not like when people from this side saying, oh, they've stolen from me, it's not like they are like angry, like say, oh, I don't want to lose any cent, like, oh, no, that's not the thing. But whenever I lose trust in you, it's lost.
Yeah, it's been a good talk. If you have like some closing remark, because our session is timing out, you are speaking to someone who's thinking of coming here, or someone who has a relative who lives here and needs to understand why they do the things they do, why they don't send them $100 when they ask for it. Just in summation, what can you say? You are talking to someone who's back home. You are talking to Timothy. You are talking to whoever, the people we left back home. What do you have to say to them in closing?
I would say it's really a good idea to come here.
They should write IELTS and come here.
To come and live here. Why? Because you can afford to live a better quality life, like compared to how it is back home. Yes, there are things that you definitely suffer the first few days, the first few weeks. But once you get used to the system, you would definitely enjoy. And to those who are expecting, like, the reason why people back here Yes, there are those bills we always talk of. There are our expenses are greater than the expenses. For example, I get 2,000, you get 200, but that 200 can still afford to pay all your bills, can afford to pay your rent house and etc. Still, I've got bills which are so high, and somewhere, somehow, I've got savings I need to save so that when I come back home the other day, you won't be laughing at me and say, oh, no, this guy has been in UK for 10 years, but there's nothing to show.
Yeah.
So it's really, we'll really be trying to balance things. We'll really be trying to balance things to make sure we have something to show, to make sure we represent the community like where we are coming from, so that you won't be encouraged like by anybody, by Ruben Barwe or anybody else to say, no, don't go there because see, they have nothing to show. They were living the best of their lives, those guys. They were living well. Every day they had electricity. Every day you can eat meat whenever you want. You can drink whenever you want. You can do whatever, those normal activities that everybody back home want to do. Like, you can still afford to do it here. The institutions allow you to do that. You afford it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a lovely talk, and I think it will benefit a lot of people. Thank you for your time, because I know time in the UK is very valuable. I think the both of us have been working all day, and to take half an hour to an hour to speak about these things, it takes a lot of commitment. I know someone watching cannot understand, but we've been up all day working, and we're not getting paid for this. It's just free advice that we're giving. So I thank you for your time. It's very valuable. And I hope, God willing, mashallah, next time we talk, we can talk about our experiences in the clinical area, the differences between working in a clinical area in Zimbabwe and here and all of that, so that we can keep educating our people. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers.
Thank you, bro. Cheers.
Cheers.